Stephen A. talking the East a little here. Do you agree with Barkley? It's all about the C's?
Of course not, because he said 10 years. That's why I disagree with. Now, had he said 2 or 3 years, I would side with him. But in today's NBA economy and the way things are flowing, there's no way in hell that you're going to look at the Celtics and talking about they're going to be the team to beat in the next 10 years. The Golden State Warriors ain't going to be the team to beat over the next 10 years. Maybe over the next 3 to 4, but it ain't going to be over the next 10. There's always somebody on the come up. The Golden State Warriors have been to 3 NBA finals, 3 consecutive NBA finals. And what happened? It took them 7 games to take out Houston, okay? And it also was helped by an injury to CP3, at least half the populace would argue. So in the NBA, there's too much talent, and there's too many people that want to go after the big fish on the block in order to sit up there and say 10 years, come on now. I'm not going to go that far. That's definitely Charles Barkley engaging in hyperbole and committing blasphemy, I might add, against the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia, where he started for in the early part of his career. Because I got news for you. If Philadelphia can get their hands on one other bona fide player, they could give Boston a run for its money. Boston is the team to beat in the East right now. Make no mistake about it. How long are they going to keep Kyrie? How long are they going to keep all the requisite parts that they have? They've got decisions coming up about Jaylen Brown, about Kyrie Irving, about Al Horford, etc. So keep your eyes on all of those things. The next 10 years is a bit of hyperbole. But for the next 2 or 3, I can live with that.
I don't think it is hyperbolic, Stephen A. I think when Charles Barkley says the next 10 years, I hope that doesn't mean they're going to win the Eastern Conference title every year for the next 10 years. But the idea that they will be the team to beat in the East for the next decade, that sounds about right to me, and I will tell you why. Like, let's say over the next 10 years, you know, there'll be a couple of back-to-backs. Maybe they'll miss a year in terms of getting out of the East. They'll lose it in a great Eastern Conference Finals, then they'll win another one. Let's say out of the next 10 years, if someone were to tell me 5-6 times they're going to get to the finals, I believe that, and I'll tell you why. Number one, you have to ask yourself, who's the GM? I'm going to tell you it's the best in the game, Danny Ainge. Then you have to ask yourself, who's the coach? If Brad Stevens not the best coach in basketball, he's second to Popovich, and he's a baby. He's so young. He's a guy who could be around for at least 10 years. So you got the GM and you got the coach. And when you talk about long-term horizons, you know, that's what you're really looking at. Now you have to ask yourself, is there a franchise caliber offensive player with upside who you can build around on that team who's very young? Jason Tatum. Yes, he is that guy. You can build a successful offense in the NBA, meaning conference finals caliber team at least, around an ascending Jason Tatum, I believe. Not to mention Jaylen Brown's still a puppy, as you would say, Stephen A. And it's not like Danny Ainge is just going to lose guys for nothing. Kyrie Irving, as Al Horford ages, he has shown the ability to flip aging players into things of value, draft picks, players, etc. So 10 years, the Boston Celtics don't mean Philly ain't going to get in there and do some business. Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid are, as you would say, special. But Danny Ainge, Brad Stevens, Jason Tatum, the Boston market, which is a large market, also trading on one of the greatest histories in sports, the Boston Celtics. Celtics can be a problem over the next decade. A problem. They could be a problem for Golden State in these finals. Look out for Boston.
But the Sixers are going to be a problem too. Go ahead, Stephen A.
First of all, I don't want to take any credit away from Danny Ainge, but Brad Stevens being there certainly helps. I get where everybody's coming from with that, but your ability to recruit or lack thereof matters. Remember, Danny Ainge wasn't able to get much talent there until Doc Rivers got there when he ultimately traded for KG, got Ray Allen, and joined them with Paul Pierce. Not to mention, key point that everybody needs to remember, when you talk about 10 years, back in the day that was plausible when folks had something to play for. When you won, you were celebrated and you benefited financially off of that. When you lost, it mattered. Now, even when you lose, it doesn't matter because we got guys that never won championships getting commercials and endorsements and building portfolios beyond basketball all over the place. So who's going to have that intestinal fortitude to have a sustained level of excellence spanning a year? It's very, very few people that are built that way. I don't think it exists in the NBA circles outside of LeBron. And to be quite honest with you, that's my mentality. And that's the biggest reason I don't think anybody's got a chance of pulling it off for a decade.